with more training with the Tri. Today it is an absolute pleasure. We have the infamous Melanie Carvell with us. She is going to run us through a quick bike fit. So if you've never actually had your bike assessed for your body frame, legs, arms, all the things, definitely before you put on a lot of miles, we should be looking at some bike fit. So thank you so much, Melanie.
Hi,
Tell us a little bit about yourself, or tell everyone about who you are a little bit, and then we'll get into fitting this young man on our bike.
Sure. Well, just like you, my background is physical therapy, and now I have a couple different fun jobs, and one of them is helping riders feel more comfortable on their bikes. So I'm certified through Retool and specialized as a professional bike fitter, which has just been a fun extra thing for me to have, because of course I'm a bicycling nerd myself, and so
she just does things in her free time, like bicycle across the United States. In how many days?
Well, there were 4 of us. And it was 3,089 miles. We each had to pedal about 125 miles a day. It took us 7 days, 7 hours and 18 minutes. So it was just a privilege to be
7 days. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
so fun, so awesome. So, okay, so Melanie, I'm new, or like he is on this bike for the first time,
right?
So he is not set up where he needs to be, correct?
Right. Okay. Well, actually, we worked a little bit on it, just a few minutes, about 5-10 minutes or so. But this is Trevor. An avid cyclist, and also works here at 701. And we're on just a real beginner bike. This is an old bike of mine, and so nothing super fancy. The beginning triathlon that Missouri Coffee puts on for us in the summertime often brings out a lot of beginners.
Yeah.
So we're just choosing a basic bike to kind of fit him on today. The first thing that we start with is the saddle. And of course, finding a saddle that's comfortable and supports the pelvis well is really important. And then getting that seat height figured out is the first thing that we're looking at. So we've got Trevor on the bike. Why don't you go ahead and just pedal a little bit? And as I'm looking at him from the side, I'm just taking a look to see, you know, how he looks with that seat height. We can also look from the back. And what we're looking at from the back is just if his pelvis is staying level. You can just kind of feeling his SI joints, and that looks really good. And then I'm going to have him stop at the bottom of the pedal stroke, dead bottom center. And so what we're looking at here is just a slight bend in the knee, kind of at that maybe 20 to 30 to 35 degree bend. And so, of course, we can measure that. We measured it for him, and we were right at about 34 degrees, and that felt pretty good for him. The other little tests that you can do is you can have the rider unclip and just actually set their heel right on the cleat. And in that position, dead bottom center with the crank, his legs should be straight without having to stretch or reach or shift. And so we did those quick little tests on him. He's at, you know, that nice 20 to 30 degree bend there. He's able to reach that pedal in this position without having to shift. So we're feeling pretty good about his seat height. Okay.
So if I was like on a bike and I had, how would I know that, like, at what point are you like, this bike is too small for me, this bike is too big for me, or I just need to be adjusting my seat? Like,
right. The first thing to look at is seat height, because there's definitely adjustability there. If our seat is too low, we can end up putting too much pressure on the patellofemoral joint, right? It's not very comfortable. If our seat is too high, we end up sometimes rocking in the saddle and not being secure and anchored. We want those sit bones to be anchored to the saddle well. So, you know, and most of the time, people will know where they're comfortable. And if you're picking up a bike for the first time from the bike shop, they'll definitely help you with that too, to take a look and see if you feel good. This simple test is probably the easiest one to do on yourself. Or even just having somebody film you while you're riding too, because it's hard to see yourself. That's where a bike fit can be really happy. So you can go ahead and clip back in there, Trevor.
So we got the seat height.
We've got the seat height. We're pretty happy with that. We're not getting a lot of vertical displacement going on back here when he's riding. It looks pretty good. And so we're going to have him go ahead and just pedal again. And this time we're gonna stop with the crank arms right in the middle. Yep. So kind of that 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And what we're looking at here is, do we need to move the saddle forward and back? We call it fore and aft, right? Yep. And so the easiest way to look at that, and sometimes a rider can help you too, we are looking, if we would drop a plumb line right from the front of the patella, we would like to see that force line fall right to the midfoot, right where our cleat is.
I'm going to bring this up nice and close here.
Yeah.
So you're talking from the patella to the midfoot.
We're dropping that down from the patella, and we'd love to see that fall just right in front of the crank.
Okay.
Right here. Very similar to, we talked about it as a lunge, right? When we're doing lunges in the gym, we want to keep our knee over our ankle. In cycling, it's a little bit different position. Our knee is actually right over our midfoot.
Okay.
If we're too far behind that, it's kind of like riding a recumbent bike. Mm-hmm. If the knee is too far forward, then it can load up that patellofemoral joint too, and we can start to have some problems with that. So we're feeling pretty good from that, taking a look at that alignment. We talked about maybe slightly moving that saddle forward if this was actually going to be the bike that he'd ride for good. But that's a great way. We want to be able to get as much power to the pedals as we can. And so having that kneecap fall, that line fall right to where we're putting force into the pedal.
Yep.
So those are the two most important. We'll let you pedal there a little bit more and see how you feel. The next thing that we look at, we've got this locked in, both the saddle height and forward and back. The next thing we look at is the reach to the handlebars. And so, if he was on an indoor bike in a cycle studio, we could move his saddle forward and back. We could move his handlebars forward and back. Now that we have his saddle set, we don't want to mess with that. What we're looking for here is just a nice, relaxed. We don't want him to reach too far, so that he ends up locking out his elbows. So if we need to make changes with reach, the way we usually would make that then is by putting a shorter stem on. Okay. We can also angle the stem, and oftentimes that helps too, especially if it's a beginning rider and they're not as comfortable bending over as far. But we're liking, he's feeling pretty comfortable. This stem is actually a little bit shorter than what the bike came with it, on. And so if you find that you're not comfortable with the reach on your bike, again, stopping at your local bike shop and having them maybe try a little bit shorter stem may help as well. So let's have you ride a little bit down the drops and just kind of get a feel of how that feels as well.
So we always think about knees, ankles, and everything when we talk about like cyclists, but a lot of cyclists do experience a lot of tension in the shoulders and the wrists.
Right.
So what do you see most often when somebody comes in and they're like, gosh, I'm just putting all these miles on my bike and my wrists are killing me and my shoulders are killing me?
Right, you can come up and relax a little bit. The first thing, of course, is to see how the bike is fitting them. Sometimes the handlebars are too wide, especially with ladies. Sometimes the levers are too far away from their smaller hands. So it's really, fine tuning the bike to them and trying to help them be the most comfortable. What we're looking for is a neutral wrist. Yeah. So you can see that he can relax those elbows and relax into it, but keep a nice neutral wrist. We always recommend using padded gloves. That can take the pressure off. And part of it is just taking the time to get comfortable and used to it. Usually the biggest concerns are saddle soreness, saddle pressure. We all laugh about having a turtleneck at the beginning of the season where our necks are so stiff and sore, but it just takes a while to get comfortable on the bike. Yeah. So if you find that even with time, you're not comfortable, then, it might be time for someone else to take a look at you or to do a professional bike fit. When we do professional fits here, we spend a good 2 or 3 hours with people and take a look at their range of motion, their concerns, their past injuries, and we really dive a lot deeper.
Yeah.
But just with that quick fit, again, knowing that if this reach isn't comfortable, you can do a quick change with your stem. Either flip it to bring the handlebars up a little bit closer to you, or shorten it so that your reach is more comfortable.
Yeah. And that's like what we want to like really push home is that like your bike comes as a one size fits all, but know that it can change in like so many different ways. And if your bike isn't fitting you, know that you don't necessarily need a new bike. You might just need an adjustment to your bike, or possibly an extra accessory on the bike to make it better suited for you.
To make it feel better for you. Absolutely. There's so many different things that we can try, from trying an entire different set of handlebars for you.
Yeah.
You know, maybe your bike came with flared handlebars and you just find that those aren't as comfortable because you can't get a neutral, as neutral a wrist. So yeah. And then getting ready for the triathlon, the other thing is that you just want to make sure that you ride at an air pressure in your tires.
Okay.
That's appropriate. You will find it right on the wall of the tire, the suggested air pressure. You can see on this bike, I have a little bit wider tires on here, so you could use this for gravel or for road. And then I would always make sure that you take along some of the basic stuff, like snacks, money, in case you need it, right? There's a spare tire or a spare tube in here, and tools in case you need to change a flat tire as well. So
excellent.
And if you don't know how to change a flat tire, you can find out on YouTube or ask at your bike shop too, and they'll show you how to do it so that you're ready for race day that way. So, and of course we don't have a helmet on because we're not
on the road.
Not on the road, but the other beginner suggestion would be taking a look at your shoes. So Trevor has cycling shoes on, and bless you. And cycling shoes are great because they're stiff.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes they have carbon fiber soles, they don't bend at all. So any power that you're putting into the pedal is transferred really efficiently.
Yeah.
And so I always tell my beginning cyclists that if you don't have dedicated cycle shoes, go into your closet and bend your shoes, your sneakers, and the ones that bend the least are the ones that you're going to want to use riding.
Okay.
So you can see, and Trevor can show you how you can clip out of these pedals, using pedals that you can clip into, and solid cycling shoes makes your ride a lot more comfortable and immensely more efficient, right? And there's a bit of a learning curve. Yeah. A great place to learn how to clip in and clip out and get used to this is in cycling classes.
Yeah.
You know, where it's safe.
Yeah, and so like that does bring me to my question. So like some people might be thinking about starting to train right now.
Right.
When we talk about treadmill running to outdoor running, like how is your comparison, your translation from like an indoor cycling to outdoor? Like how imperative should it be, to get on the road versus be in a spin class?
Right. Well, with our winters being as long as they are, and we're still not done yet, right? So indoor riding has come a long way. I started teaching cycling classes 30 years ago, maybe even longer than that. And the technology of the indoor rides right now is amazing. And so, I teach at Family Wellness in the YMCA, and we have one of the top indoor bikes in the world. Yeah, the ICG7, the power meters on it are, incredibly accurate. And so having a tool like that is great. And also the indoor trainers for cyclists have also gotten the smart trainers like the Wahoo Kickers and all of the data and the competition that goes with those can make you can ride your own bike at home, or you can jump into a cycling class. And a climate like ours, we don't have any choice, right? And the thing is that it's great to get outside, but indoor riding also allows you to do some really targeted workouts, interval training. Like Trevor was talking about the class he was just in. And you don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about stoplights.
You just get after it.
You can get after it and you can really concentrate on that particular workout actually more efficiently inside than outside when there's a lot of distractions. And of course, as the season draws near, and if you're going to be gravel racing or mountain bike racing or doing triathlon, you also need to get outside on your regular bike. And as the weather gets nicer, we all tend to shift from a lot of indoor riding to just really trying to get comfortable. One thing we can't do indoors is replicate that distance. You know, if you're going to do a 3-hour gravel race, you're not going to get that out of a cycling class, right? You're going to have to get your rear end in that saddle, get outside, get comfortable, work on, you know. So it's kind of a perfect marriage between both of those, and they're both important.
Yeah, no, I think that's great perspective. Like you said, like get inside, get training really intensely, get comfortable with your shoes or whatever it might be, and then you'll be ready for the outdoor ride.
It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get a professional fit, then like what do you do if you want to do it like here?
Absolutely, just contact the shop, and we would set up a time for you to meet with me, and then we block off a significant amount of time to be able to do a physical assessment, learn more about your goals, have you bring your bike in, we get it all set up and ready to go, and can really fine tune things. We also then film you, we put sensors both on your upper body and your lower body, we film you from side views, from front views, we just go deeper into all those adjustments and really fine tune things. So it's fun.
Awesome.
It's a great
so there's
way.
options, all sorts of options that we can do here at 701. And you know what? Why do we talk about all these things? And the one thing is that especially if you're not a seasoned cyclist of any kind, anytime you start putting a lot of miles on of any capacity, like we always think about those overuse injuries. And what all this is intended for is to avoid some of those things.
Absolutely.
And so the more we can avoid, the more ambitious and productive will probably be when it comes to race day, and also just staying in it and really enjoying it.
Right. And just being more, more comfortable. You can really tell when someone is more one with their bike, right? Yeah. They're much more efficient. They're much more comfortable. There's a better transfer of power. And so, cyclists always want, we all, whether we're, beginners or we've done this for a long time, we all want to feel good on our bike, and we all want to continue to see some progress in our abilities as well. So if we can make you and your bike more comfortable, it just makes it a lot more fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, thank you so much, Melanie, and thank you guys for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, send them to us through direct message or text them on here, and we'll be sure to get back to you with any answers. So thanks so much. Have a great day.